Me too. I'm excited. And we got some other sports news coming to you as well. But before we get into this interview with David Pindell, this interview is going to be brought to you by Jersey Swap. Now, they have affordable sports jerseys, sports betting packages available, as well as jewelry, shoes, and apparel all on their website. So check them out on Instagram, Jersey Swap _, and see the link in their bio for the shop. Now, let's get into the interview.
What's the point of doing it if you don't love doing it? Those are the wise words of David Pindell, who's joining us now on the program.
Uconn QB for 2017 and 2018, member of the 2018 All-New England team, and a current free agent QB for the NFL, CFL, and XFL. How's it going, man?
It's pretty good. Glad to have you. Glad to have me. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing good, man. We appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
So we might as well start off with Uconn there. So, but when you decided to go to Uconn, how was the recruiting process for that, and why did you choose to go to the Huskies?
I went to Lackawanna Junior College in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I had a pretty successful season there my sophomore year. Won the starting spot and took our team to a bowl game. Went undefeated. Went to a bowl game, lost in double overtime. And I ended off finishing the season third in the nation as a junior college quarterback. So I got attention from a lot of, top programs. And I ended up, narrowing my offers down to Temple, Uconn, and Coastal Carolina. And, I took a visit to Coastal Carolina at first. And it was a good field there. I liked it down there. Then I ended up going to Temple, took a visit there. And I was really close to committing there. And the thing that, separated Uconn and Temple from each other, I had a talk with Coach Mullins, Jeff Mullins, and he sat down with me and he says he understands that recruiting process is about, getting the best players for their program, but it's also about, your education, your future, and everything like that. So with that being said, he talked to me. He said, if we don't get you, he'll understand because he wants me to go where I fit at home and what fits me and what's best for me. So on top of all that, he asked me the final question. He said, if you were to put football aside, if football wasn't there, if you were to just go there for school, put it like that, put it in perspective like that, where would you want to go for college? And I chose UConn because my perception of college, what I picture college to be is, far away campus in the middle of nowhere, big, huge campus, surrounded by a bunch of, grass mountains and a quiet place with a lot of resources and things like that. And, Temple, Philly is a good city. It's a fun city. It's a lot going on there. And I just felt like what I was trying to accomplish, Philadelphia and Temple just wasn't, that wasn't for me. That wasn't fit the person I am and the image I wanted to be around. So I ended up going to UConn. And also, from a football standpoint, Temple had just graduated PJ Walker, quarterback for the Houston Roughnecks now, who, set all those records up at Temple. And I felt like if I went up there, I have to live up to, all the standards that he was up to. And if I didn't, then they'll look at me as a, disappointment. Whereas at UConn, they didn't have no real quarterback situation. They were struggling. And it was like a perfect chance for me to go in there and, set my own standard. And that's initially what I did overall after finishing my senior season. I basically, set a standard, a really high standard, and I was able to, create my own legacy there. So that's what it came down to when I came down to choosing UConn over Temple.
For sure. And you had a pretty successful career for individual stats wise at UConn for sure. Your stats really jump off the page there, both passing and rushing. Now, if it looks like they were able to utilize you in both assets there, your arm and your legs there. Was that something they talked about with you about before you went there too?
So the dude that recruited me first was Rhett Lashley, coach from Auburn. And, the style of quarterbacks that he recruits, are passers, basically door threat dudes who can, make plays with their legs, who can run the ball a lot because his offense was based around, running the ball with the quarterback, zone read, and, taking deep shots. So he recruited me to fit that offense. And when I was with him, my junior year, 2017, we didn't do too much with, quarterback runs because I don't think I was able to, show what I can do in that quick amount of time because I had just came in from JUCO and I got right into camp. So everything happened fast. So I wasn't able to show my athleticism and things like that. So junior year, it was really I didn't get to show what I could do.
Hmm.
And then after junior year, Coach Lashley ended up leaving. And then senior year, Coach John Dunn, he's out quality control for the Chicago Bears. He ended up coming in playing offensive coordinator. And just being around him for so long, and him being around me from winter, spring, and summer, just seeing what type of person I am, and competing at the summer workout stuff, seeing how fast I was. I think that's what triggered him into creating the offense around what I can do. And throughout camp, he put a couple quarterback runs in his zone reads, and I would take him for long distance down the field, and I was able to make people miss and stuff. So he felt like if this what we if this what we're going to be successful at, we might as well take advantage of it. So we did a lot of he incorporated each week a bunch of quarterback runs, quarterback reads, play actions, quarterback powers, things like that, because that's what we were successful doing. We were accomplished. I mean, that's what we were able to score off of me putting the ball in my hands. So he basically created the offense around me. He was able to show my arm with the passing style, with the quick game, and the drop back passing, the progression reads, things like that.
That's interesting. You're talking about your run game and your passing game. And what part of your game are you most proud of in terms of where you're most developed? Where you're most comfortable about selling yourself? What's the number one factor for David Pindell?
If I was to say like the number one factor for me, selling myself, I would say I'm a playmaker. I can make plays, I can extend plays, and I can also I can make the throws from the pocket. And if you want to put the ball in my hands, I can also do that as well. So the biggest thing for me is just being able to extend plays and you make plays when things are not there. I feel like I can do that really well. And then of course I feel like I can run the ball really well. Everybody knows that.
Hmm.
And I think the biggest thing that
Hmm.
people sleep on, that they don't recognize as much is my passing ability. Because if you look at my junior college stats, I threw the ball way more than I rushed. I think I threw for almost 3,000 yards, or almost 3,000 yards, and like 24 touchdowns, and I only rushed for like 900, and I had a couple running touchdowns. But I was really able to show that I was a pocket passer. My sophomore year at JUCO, whereas my junior year I couldn't really show anything. In the senior year, I felt like I threw the ball pretty well, but that was overlooked by all the runs I had and all the crazy big plays I made. So
Hmm. Now you say people they tend to overlook your passing. How do you think that you can get now that you're trying to make it to the professional level? How do you think it would be a way to get people to see that in you?
so what my agent's been telling me, he said the biggest thing for me would be to do the CFL, or if I could, if there's possibility, do the XFL.
Hmm.
Just basically show that I'm a passer, because he says that everybody throughout the draft process last year, throughout many camps, all the teams that were calling about me were they seen my film and they seen how athletic I was and how fast I was, and they just seen that part. So I felt they said what they feel like I need to prove is just go up there and prove that I can be a passer, and don't worry about the running part, because the running part is already what like I'm known for and what everybody sees me as. So just proving that I'm a passer in CFL or XFL is the next big thing for me to
Hmm.
take my step to go into the NFL.
And when you say that, which league would you prefer, the CFL or XFL? I know there's only been 1 week of the XFL. Which style of that do you think would help you the most? Because they're very different styles, those leagues.
Yeah, they are very different. So I ended up signing with Montreal. Well, I think week 16 of their season. So I signed late, and I was up there and able to get the experience and learn
Hmm.
how that football is. It's a little different with the wider fields, three downs, and with the motion run starts, and the you know having three downs and the motion run starts and 12 men on the field. It's a little different, but I was able to experience that, and I felt like once be in there for a couple of weeks and just understand what that is and how they play it, it's regular football. And then
Hmm.
XFL is just regular American football. So I feel like if I was to choose one of my decision, I would choose XFL because it's in the States and it's a little more simpler. I don't have to worry about as much of a change. But
Hmm.
either way, one or the other, whatever opportunity is there for me, I'll take advantage of it full go.
Now, what was the like adjustment coming into Canada? Now we're from Canada, so what was that like? Just being in a new country and trying to work with a new team.
Uh, it was different. It was interesting. It was interesting at first because I had no intentions. I mean, I had no idea what like Canada was like. what Montreal was like, and what I've been hearing from everybody is, it's a French town. Everybody up there speaks French. So in my mind, I'm thinking like I'm going to have to learn French and like translate things throughout like my time up there. But but after being up there, I realized like everybody speaks French, but they also speak English. So it's like it's not like it's going to be a language barrier. It's like everybody speaks
Mhm.
French and English. So when I got up there, I was able to communicate with all the guys very well. There was a couple of dudes up there from Uconn. It was a long snapper that played there in '09. And then Trey Rutherford, my offensive lineman for my junior year, he's up there. So they kind of, helped me and filled me in while I got up there. Then the starting quarterback, Vernon Adams, he helped me out a lot. Him and the backup quarterback, they really like brought me under their wing and just, showed me what the CFL was about and just helped me throughout my couple of weeks that I was up there. Just showed me what it was like. So it was it was better than I expected. It was a nice experience. I liked the city. The people were very nice. The coaches were great, and had a couple food restaurants up there that were pretty good that I went to.
Now, in the CFL, you're talking about the people taking you under your wing, learning. What was the biggest takeaway for you from that CFL experience?
Uh, Biggest thing for me was just learning how Vernon Adams, starting quarterback, took control of the huddle and like how he played the position, because you know he's pro. CFL football is basically NFL football. It's pros, except it's just in Canada. So like the way he approached the huddle and how he took charge and like demanded everything, and the way he was like so in tune with his players, and they just had a chemistry around him, and like they all like they felt they they were based off of his energy and how they like came together towards him. It was just really impressive, and it's like if I could incorporate that next step part of my game to me as a quarterback, I think it would make me a much better quarterback. Just because he was always talking to his players, being involved with making sure they know their assignments, reiterating certain plays and just going over plays with them day in, day out, watching extra film with them, just going out with them, buying them breakfast and just being around them, and, being that typical pro style, I mean, that typical quarterback that that you picture or perceive in, movies and stuff, like the dude who's always like, everybody wants to be around and who takes charge. And when it's on the field, he has fun, but he's also a businessman, so he's serious about his business when he's on the field, and he he's consistent. So in the field, he was a playmaker. He made the big plays when we needed them, and he took them to a couple wins. The couple weeks that I was there, he won games. So that's the biggest thing I learned from being up there.
How much of a difference did you find with the in the CFL with the smaller stadiums, but the fans, I mean, the fans in Canada are still just as passionate, I feel, but was there much of a difference in the feel at the games compared to when you played at college?
Not really. I actually think it was a little bit way more because at UConn, we didn't really pack stadiums at UConn because of our record, but like going down to Central Florida, Boise State, how packed those crowds were. Montreal, they packed most of their games that I was up there. They packed the games, sold out I think like 30, 40,000, and it was a good experience. So it felt like high level football, and the fans were really in tuned and supportive of that team, and they were down for that city. So it wasn't much of a difference.
Okay. That that's good to hear as Canadians.
Hmm.
If we could take a step back too, you spent some time at NFL rookie mini camps. I believe I read with the Vikings and the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
What was that experience like there?
It was a good experience. It was a learning curve, and just it was also a good experience just to be in their facility, learn how schedule goes. It's not too far from like what the college schedule is like. It's a little different because you don't have classes, so like from that 5 o'clock in the morning all the way to like 8 o'clock in the morning is literally just football, football, football. Whereas in college is like 5 to 12 is your football, and then you have your classes from like 12 to 7. But this is just same schedule. It's just same routine, early morning workouts, meetings, breakfast, walkthroughs, practice. Then it's more meetings, walkthroughs, practice, and it's basically just football all throughout the day. So it was a good experience just being around that. And then obviously I wasn't down there playing quarterback. I was in both camps playing different positions. When I was with the Vikings, they had me at running back, and then down in Tampa Bay, they had me playing receiver and punt return. So it was a good experience just being down there, and then going going to other positions and just, trying out at other positions is not really what I wanted. But hey, a lot of
Mhm.
people don't get that opportunity, so I try to take advantage of it the best that I could.
For sure.
Now, like you're really set on playing quarterback, and I don't blame you, because I think you got the skills. Out of the positions that you tried, the other positions you tried, running back, wide receiver, what is the most appealing to you?
Uh, Appealing, and what do you mean by that? Can you explain
Like
more?
which, if you had a choice between running back and wide receiver, essentially, or punt return, like which one would you take?
Oh, I'll receiver, because receiver just it's natural catching the ball and
Mhm.
just running. Running back is I didn't. I actually that's another thing I learned being up there with the Vikings. I didn't know how much detailed everything is from the running back position, starting with a handoff, because when they first put me in the team reps and I was going with the running backs, uh, there was an outside stretch to the left, and I was in my stance and I just set go. I ran to the hole. I tried to take the ball, and I took it wrong and I ended up fumbling. And the coach told me, he was like, you know why you fumbled, and he told me, you didn't have your left, if you didn't have your right arm over your left arm, and you didn't take your steps. And I didn't know it was that much detailed into playing the running back position, because as a quarterback, all I'm doing is just hand the ball off, and they just
Mhm.
taking the ball from me. So it's a little difficult playing running back, and punt return too. There's a lot of mechanics and details you got to do as a punter too, as a punt returner as well. But
I'm
receiver was, like, I say, was the most easiest and most naturalist position, because I have to learn how to line up and run your routes. Then you just catch the ball and go.
Had you ever played anything other than quarterback before these mini camps, or were you just thrown into this?
So basically, this what happened. So at pro day, I had intention on running routes and then throwing, but I ended up throwing my route tree first, and after that, the scout from the Patriots said, "You have a great arm. You can throw. You make all the throws. You don't have to run any routes." So it was ended at that. So throughout the draft process, I worked out for the Ravens. I worked out for the Titans. I got calls from the Chargers, 49ers, all these teams. I ended up with about 11 teams that ended up calling me throughout draft week. And then after the draft was over, the Vikings called me. Clint Kubiak, the QB coach, he ended up calling me, and he broke down to me. He said, "We basically believe you can throw, make all the throws possible, and you're really athletic. So we think we wanna bring you in as a quarterback." So my initial reaction was, "Okay, I'm going to Minnesota to play quarterback." So I got up there, got in the meetings room, doing the walkthroughs, and practicing, just going through the playbook and everything with the quarterbacks in the meeting room and everything. Then when I got on the field the first day, like before I could even take a snap or throw, the coach just came over to me, offensive coordinator. He just said, "Here, we want you to go with the running backs." And then from there, it's just like they never gave me a shot. They put me at running back, so it felt like they had a plan to just bring me in and then throw me at running back. And then after that, I went down to Tampa Bay, and I was non receiver up there, and then ended up doing punt returner.
What would you say after your time there? Now, what was the biggest experience that you're able, or learning piece that you were able to take from that?
From
From the time in the NFL mini camps, because I would imagine it was pretty frustrating for you there, given that you wanted to really showcase being a QB. But what
Mhm.
was the main thing that you were able to take and learn from that?
Just getting a feel for the playbooks and how the plays were called, and being in the huddle.
Hmm.
Uh, I was able to learn how they break down plays and how they call plays. So, like, that's one thing I've been working on throughout my off season training and stuff. Calling plays, because each play has alignment, assignment, and a cadence. And each play, pro is like there's two plays called in one. So instead of high school and college where it's like one play, you get out the huddle, go. In the
Hmm.
NFL, it's two plays. It's two plays in the huddle, and then there's tags, there's alerts and everything. So just grasping all of that and understanding how they call plays in the NFL. That's one of the biggest thing I try to take out of my time at both camps.
Now let's take it back to the beginning. Like, what got you your start in football? Like, who put the ball in your hand?
Uh, so my first year of playing football was my sophomore year. I mean, my freshman year of high school. I uh, I was watching Michael Vick one day. I think he was with the Falcons. I think he was playing the Rams. I was watching Michael Vick one day, and he was just going crazy. So I just was like, I wanted to be like him. So I came in sophomore year, went to camp, and tried off quarterback.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, at what point did you realize that you had something and you could take it a step further? Was it a coach that told you that, or was it a gut feeling? Was it a little bit of both?
So after my sophomore year, the first year playing, we had end of the season talks with the coaches, and my head coach. Because my sophomore year, I felt like I didn't have no success. I didn't know what I was doing. It was just hard for me. We went like 1-10. So at the end of the season, the coach brought me in and he said, "Yeah, David, I think you have a big arm. You're really athletic, and I'd like to work with you." So I was like, okay. So over the off season, I, came to all the workouts, and day by day, he used to just take me in his office and teach me the basics: how to take a 3-step drop, how to take a 5, how to read basic principles of cover 3 and cover 4. And then same thing after junior year, I had a little bit more success. We went 4-6. He said same thing. He said we can have a better year coming out. You just got to work. So that off season for the junior year, going into senior year, I just really worked. Watched a lot of YouTube videos of Aaron Rodgers workouts, and basically learn how to play position a little bit more. And after my senior year, we went undefeated, and we brought like our program back. That's when I realized, okay, this is what I want to do because I actually have a little bit of skill at this, and I feel like I can get better and I can grow over the years if I just keep working how I really want to work.
That's awesome. Now, talk me through the transition from high school to Lackawanna. What was the caliber of play that you're now experiencing at that school? What was that transition like?
It was quite a transition because Lackawanna is junior college. It's still college football, so you're around guys who are just as good as you, linemen that are just as fast as you, and dudes who are also just as hungry as you. So being up there, everybody's trying to go D1 to try to get off right there. So everybody's out there working hard every day, in and out the weight room, on the practice field, and everybody's trying to get recruited out of there. So it was a grind, but we also made a brotherhood there because Scranton, Pennsylvania is the middle of nowhere, and at Lackawanna, there was really nothing to do out there except football, go to class. So we had a dorm full of football players, 120 players in the dorm, and it was like 3 or 4 to a room. So it's like we spent so much time in that dorm together, just building the chemistry, building the brotherhood, and I felt like we built a really good bond there. So on the field, throughout our 2 seasons there, it showed because we went undefeated both years and went to a bowl game. So
That's
That's awesome.
awesome. Now, is there anything that you would change about your career decisions to date, or do you feel like you've went on the right path that was for you?
I feel like I don't regret anything. I feel like everything happens for a reason.
Hmm.
But I felt like if I would have known about the recruiting process, and if I had intentions on playing college ball when I first started playing football, if I had intentions on playing college ball and I knew about the grade situation, the requirements to accept a Division I scholarship, I would have took my grades more serious, and I wouldn't have had to take the JUCO route. I would have been able to sign to a 4-year university out of high school because at the end of my senior year, University of Maryland and University of Buffalo recruited me, but when they found out my grades, they couldn't do anything because I wasn't NCAA eligible. So it was too late for me to try to bring my grades up. So that's the biggest thing I would redo if I could start my career. Just redoing my grades and taking my grades more serious because I think I would have been in a whole different situation coming out of high school.
That's
What
fair.
what was the biggest difference between playing at Lackawanna and Uconn? Like, what was that transition like?
The biggest transition was the players were much smarter and they were much detailed in like their assignments at Division 1 because Lackawanna, I felt like defenses, like high school, everybody played, one coverage, cover 3, cover 4. Whereas the UConn, everyone plays, they play multiple coverages. Everybody actually knows their assignments and like they're much smarter. So like the players know their assignments. Defensive players know their job, so you can you can disguise defenses, you can disguise blitzes and things like that. And that's why I think I struggled my junior year because I wasn't used to understand defenses and reading defenses. So when I got in, I was just playing like high school football. I was picking a player throw to pre snap, and it was messing up my reads. Whereas, in JUCO, I could do that. I pick one player because, you always got that one athlete who's better than everybody else. You can just throw it to them. So it's like when I got to UConn, I had to really sit down and understand the game of football and like actually learn defenses. And my coach Dunn, the second coach that I got that came my senior year, that's the guy who really like sat down with me and broke defense down and taught me like a lot more defense from football.
That's awesome. So now that you're a free agent, how are you staying in shape and trying to stay in contact with teams? What's that process like?
So I work out every day. I live in Maryland. I work out, and they have this facility that do draft prep training. That's called Route One Athletics down here in Elkridge, Maryland. I train there every day, and I throw almost every other day with a couple receivers that are doing their draft prep.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have an agent, and I have a couple workouts coming up with CFL teams: Toronto, Saskatchewan, and BC. So
Okay.
those I have lined up right now, and that I'm going to throw at Uconn Pro Day, Maryland Pro Day, and Shepherd University Pro Day coming up. Also throwing to some receivers that need a QB. So I feel like that's another opportunity for me to just show my arm in front of scouts again, and hopefully, see if I can get another opportunity coming as a quarterback before I have to go to CFL.
For sure. Well,
Yep.
good luck on your pro days coming up.
Yep, appreciate that.
And it would be nice for you to we live really close to Toronto, so that would be awesome if you got signed with Toronto. We'd love to be able to see you play live.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Now looking back on your career to date too, who do you think was the best player you played with, and who do you think was the best player you played against?
Best player I played with. I don't have like one specific player. I just felt like my Lackawanna teammates, they were a really good group of guys. Our whole offense that year went
Mm-hmm.
D1. We had a
Mm-hmm.
talented running back, Marcelius Sutton, Zainier Schuler. We had great receivers. Jawan Green, he played at Albany now. He's getting ready for his draft process. Diggs, he was also at Albany. Raekwon Purdy, he ended up going, I think, East Stroudsburg. And then our two backs, as I was saying, Zainier Schuler, he plays in New Mexico, and Marcellus Sutton, he plays at Oklahoma. He ended up signing with the Seahawks for as a running back last season. And then we had a really good center. I forgot what his real name is. We call him Country. He's from Virginia. He was a really good center. Isaiah Hardy from he went to West Virginia. Anthony Mays went to Texas State. So those were like the best players I played with as a whole. And
Mm-hmm.
then some also great guys we played against when I got to UConn. Mackenzie Milliken, quarterback from Central Florida, he was really good. South Florida quarterback Quentin Flowers, really good. I respected all the quarterbacks in our conference because they were really good quarterbacks. And Cincinnati quarterback was really good. Memphis quarterback was really good. Temple's defense was really good, outstanding. They also had a receiver, Isaiah Wright, who's also getting prepared for the draft process this year. He was really good. He stood out a lot. So I played against a really good group of guys, and I can't. There's not one guy I can just pick out from the whole.
That's very fair. Now stepping away from, sorry, Chris, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, stepping away from football there, you have your own clothing line. How did you decide to make a clothing line, and when did you start getting into this?
So over the summer, I wanted to do a clothing line just to represent something about me, and have the people around me supporting something that represents me.
Mm-hmm.
And then back in I think October, this dude Ben, he ended up reaching out to me from Instagram saying he would be able to help me start a clothing line, a brand, and a logo and everything like that. So he reached out to me. We had a meeting, talked, set it up, and now I'm selling merchandise from his company on my Instagram page. So you can find the merch in my bio, link in my bio, and basically the whole thing behind it is DP, stands for David Pindell, my initials. And phrase I like to go by is, what's the point of doing it if you don't love it? Because I feel like whatever you want to do or whatever you feel like you want to do for a long time, make sure it's something you love, because if you don't love it, then it's basically like another job, Nobody wants to do a job. So you want to do something you love, make it a career out of it. So, for example, like when I went down to Tampa Bay, like I felt like I didn't love playing receiver because I didn't have fun going to the practices. I wasn't really excited about, learning new plays and learning how to, line up from a receiver standpoint. Whereas when I'm at quarterback, it's like I get excited to go to meetings, watch his film, and, learning new plays and just perfecting my craft as a quarterback and my mechanics in practice. So I just felt like that's the phrase behind it. If you don't love it, what's the point of doing it if you don't love it? So I take that into consideration around everything I do when I work out as a quarterback, when I train and stuff. Like, this is what I love doing, so that's why I do it.
It's interesting that quote you have, because I mean, if there is a future for you in the XFL, that would work really well with the XFL's branding, for the love of football, because
Mm-hmm.
that's really the vibe I'm getting from you.
Yep, for sure, definitely.
Now, do you have future plans for the brand? Do you have more styles of clothing, maybe new logos? Is that in the works?
Yeah, so we're working right now. So we're still growing. It's trying to reach out to as many people as possible, and get them just to support it. Because the more people that starts purchase the logo or purchase some of the merch, and I'll post on my page. The more people that see wearing it and stuff, I think it'll bring more people to, like, oh, okay, this guy's doing something, and like it'll attract more people. So we're just growing right now, trying to get as many people to just buy a piece of merch and just post it on my page as much as possible. And then we're working on getting like Uconn, some of my Uconn shots and film and stuff, and incorporate that into the gear and like on the hats, and like get new shirts and stuff made like that. So like we have a bunch of quarterbacks from teams we played against, like top quarterbacks that I made connection with, have been they've been personal and supporting. Like, I posted on my page John Franklin from Tampa Bay, DeAndre Francois, the former Florida State quarterback. He was at Hampton this past season. Um, Taquan Marshall, Georgia Tech quarterback. DeCarrion from South Carolina, USC quarterback. Daryl Mack, the Central Florida quarterback. Jordan Talmud, the St. Louis quarterback. Derek King, Miami. Who else? Who else got one? One more. Greg Ward from the Eagles. He used to play for Houston. They all bought some and supporting the brand. So that's the biggest thing, getting big names like them to support it too. That way they can other kids see it as, you see big role models supporting the brand, and they'll follow them and support the brand as well. So that's the biggest thing, just getting people to buy a piece of merch and just supporting it and posting it, and then have me reposting it.
Well, we definitely have a couple sweaters shipping to Canada now, because you've made definite fans out of us.
I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, and so where are the people able to find these? Through your Instagram there?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at David Pindell _. Link in bio is where you can get the merch. You can follow me on Twitter, David Pindell _. Same thing, link in his bio where you can find the merch. And if you buy some, you get it, take a picture of it, send it to me, tag me in it, and I'll repost it, and we can just grow from there.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to us, and we hope to see you on the field soon. And good luck with all your pro days coming up.
Yeah, thank you so
that.
much. Yeah, we'll be watching your career with great interest now. This is really exciting.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
Love your hustle, and I love your heart, man. Keep it up, because it's gonna reward you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Once again, we'd like to thank David Pindell for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate it. Make sure you guys check him out on Instagram at David Pindell _. Check the link in his bio for his shop to check out all his merch, and make sure to pick that up.
Man, that's some cool merch too. I just gotta say, Brad, like, we got ours coming in the mail, shipping to Canada. I'm super excited to put that thing on. I got the what's the point of doing it if you don't love it? Like, oh, that's such a cool shirt. I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait till it comes in. We're going to make sure to post that on our page when they come in for everybody to see. Now, Chris, this was a great interview. What was one thing that you took out of it?
I really was impressed with David's just understanding of the coaches that put him where he is today. You know, when we asked him the question about like, when did you realize you were sniffing it? Like, when did you realize you had something? And he went back to a conversation he had with his coach and the relationship he had with his coach and the way his coach worked with him to really make him the best football he could be. And that attitude really translated when he was talking about Lackawanna and when he was talking to his time on UConn. You can tell he learned, like he's a learner, right? He's always learning. And even when he was talking about the NFL training camps and all that, like just the things he was picking up, he seems like a great football mind in that he's just constantly learning and looking for ways to improve and apply to his game. And I really like that. And a really interesting answer when we talked about like some of the best players that he's played with, he pointed to the guys at Lackawanna, the D1 or D2 school, like, and just his excitement at his accomplishment there. And he was saying so many of those guys on that offense ended up getting drafted into D1 the next season. That's just super cool. And also another thing, like I never knew that NFL players are leaving the huddle with 2 plays. That was super interesting. It wasn't it, Brad?
Yeah, it really was. It really was interesting. And the one big thing I really took out of this interview with David Pindell was that he seems to be a really great teammate because he's constantly talking up all the teammates he's had, especially the Lackawanna teammates. He talks about the brotherhood that they have, that there is brothers. And that you love to hear a guy talking about his teammates like that, especially at the QB position, because he's got to have everybody's back, and you have their backs, they'll have yours.
And, you know, the interesting thing is too, like he was talking about his experience getting thrown in at those training camps on running back, wide receiver, and maybe those are not the positions for him, but at least he was able to learn something about what goes behind the position. You know, if as a
Hmm.
quarterback, it's one
Hmm.
thing to hand off the ball to the guy, but also to hand off the ball to the guy knowing exactly the things that the running back is thinking about and what the running back needs to happen. That's what I want from a quarterback. That makes me really excited about David Pindell's potential.
And we wish him good luck on his upcoming pro days, and we hope to see him on the field soon this year.
Yeah, that'd be great.